few more questions about the ocean stuff before we move on. Were there any times when you were genuinely scared for your life?
No, I don't think there's any times we're genuinely scared for our lives. But there's times when you have a real understanding and respect for where you are in the situation you're in. Like in the Southern Ocean at times, and it can happen in any ocean around the world. It can get rough, but both Southern Ocean legs we did were really rough, even for, like I think it had been one of the roughest editions of the race ever. Like, so when we left New Zealand heading to Brazil around Cape Horn, bottom of South America, we went through like 3 big systems, and yeah, on the second one actually, we got the terrible news that one of the other people on the boat had fallen overboard.
John Fisher.
Yeah, Fish. Yeah, so that's just the absolute worst news you can get. You know, it's for us on board the boat. Like you know that threat the whole time, that you really always got to. You know the old saying, have one hand for the boat, but you always know that you're clipped in when the conditions are rough. And unfortunately, they'd found out later they'd done a crash jibe, that and then he hadn't been clipped in, and he got hit by the boom or the and then basically fell overboard. And in those conditions, as soon as we got the news, that they're not going to find him.
Do you get the news when you're still on board? You're still in the race?
Yeah, we did, and I was actually in my bunk at the time. We'd been through like one of the, I think it was probably the roughest nights of the race. It was like super dark night. Obviously, if it's cloudy during the day, and you can, it's like the day we've just had yesterday here in, Auckland. When at night time, when it's like that, it's obviously really, really dark. You can't see the difference between the waves and the sky. It's just black, and you've got these numbers which you're following, which basically show you your heading and the angle to the wind and your boat speed, obviously, and then you're just feeling the boat under your feet. So yeah, that night was pretty wild. I remember just like hooning down these waves, like doing 25, 30 plus knots, and you don't know where the bottom of the wave is. You can't see it, and you're trying to get out of the, surfing down this wave before you crash into the next one, and then trying to keep it going. So it'd been a super wild night, and I'd been down in my bunk, and we got woken up to do a maneuver. We had to jibe over, and and as I was sort of waking up, I was coming to a little bit. I heard Rob Greenhill, who's a watch captain on the other watch. He was saying to Juan, our navigator, he was saying, like, the first words I heard was, because if it's my sister, I want to know. And I was going, what's he on about, And Rob's sister was on Scallywag, the boat that had lost Fish overboard. And I was sort of coming to still, and then he was like, just send a fucking email and find out who it is, because I want to know if it's my sister. He was pretty calm about it, actually, given the circumstance. I was like, and then heard, and I'm like, shit. So we had to go up on deck to, and you've got that in the back of your mind. But then we're like, go up on deck, and it's like, he still was light by this stage, and you could actually see the size of the waves and actually the situation you're in. That's the thing, at night time you don't actually, it's like wild, but it's almost, because you can't see anything, it's almost better in some ways. So you get up and it's like, shit, this is on, like it's really serious. And so for a little bit there, just sort of really concentrating on doing the next maneuver of our boat, and then go back downstairs, and then sort of understand the situation a little bit more. And yeah, pretty much that, like, you've seen the size of the waves there. You're like, if someone fell over here, it's really hard to actually get back to get them. No matter, ocean's a big and powerful place. So yeah, I think by the time maybe 4 or 5 hours later, we heard the news that they'd sort of given up the search for him, and were heading to Chile. And yeah, it was definitely a really somber mood on board the boat, and everyone Fish was such a legend, so everyone paying like their respects to him, and people do that in different ways at the time. But I remember really coming together as a crew, and just saying to each other, like, how we're still in a pretty tough situation here, and the only way really get through is to keep pushing the boat hard and keep trying to get to Cape Horn as quick as we could. And we'd actually had quite a serious sort of issue with our mainsail and the mast, so we had that extra, I guess, stress of trying to deal with that situation. So yeah, pretty quickly in those, you know, like your mind just goes to look, you know, your own self sort of needs on the boat, and we just pushed on for another probably 4 days till Cape Horn, really.